Hey guys, worldwide movies recapped here. Now start the movie. 58 BC on the Macedonian coast in northern Greece, storyteller Rheolaus of Athens has been captured by pirates and is trying to buy time by telling them the legend of his uncle Hercules. His father was Zeus, king of the gods, but his mother was Zeus' queen. Hera saw the bastard. These two had together as an insult and tried to kill him, but Hercules took after his father and was almost unbeatable once he reached manhood. The gods commanded him to perform 12 labors, and if he could complete them all and survive, Hera would let him live in peace. He fought powerful monsters like the Hydra, the early Memphian boar, and the Numian lion, whose hide was so tough no weapon could penetrate it, so Hercules beat it with his bare hands. The pirates aren't impressed by ill story, not believing a word of what he's. But at that moment, Hercules arrives to rescue him wearing the lion's hide on his head. The pirates aren't scared because there are 40 of them. But numbers are pointless. Hercules can fight with multiple men at the same time. And besides, he isn't alone. His team has come with him. There's the CRM Furious of Argus, the thief Autologus of Sparta, the feral warrior, tiniest of thieves, and the Amazon archer Adelanto Cynthia. Together, this group of mercenaries easily defeats the pirates and rescues, after counting the heads for which they will be paid. Autonicus tells Rheolaus he must exaggerate the story of Hercules more, so people will believe it, while Antheares receives a vision from the flames. They say a lion and a crow will form a strange alliance and fight across a sea of bodies. Sometime later, the party goes to a tavern to celebrate their victory. Hercules tells Autolycus about wanting to leave for the lands beyond the sea, so he can finally find peace, taking Titanus with him because he is the only one that can control his. Suddenly, the tavern falls silent when a group of soldiers enter the place and bring with them Princess Orgenia, who asks Hercules and his team to join her at the palace to hear her father's proposal, promising a hefty payment in gold. Els notices the guard shields have a raven on them. When they arrive at the palace, Hercules can't help seeing a large group of refugees behind them. They're welcomed by General Cycles, leader of the Thracian army, who doesn't look very happy about Hercules' presence, and at Virginia's son Ares, who is a big fan of him and knows all his stories. As they climb the stairs on their way inside, Hercules remembers an incident 3 years ago when he killed a Hydra, which was just a bunch of men wearing lizard-like helmets for King Riskiest of Athens, who declared him a hero in front of a huge crowd chanting. The memory suddenly turns sour when it flashes images of his wife and kids getting murdered, and Hercules tries his best to ignore it and concentrate on the present. The party meets with Lord Codus, King of Thrace, who teases and Res for not being able to see much of the future except his own death, and judges Atlantis Gales based on her gender, but she proved him wrong pretty quickly by shooting the helmets off the guards' hands. He invites them to have dinner with them and explains their troubles. The country is in the middle of a civil war with a bloodthirsty warlord called Racists, who is believed to have an army of 7. Coda shows Hercules all the refugees that arrive every day after recess, burns their villages, and comments on the fact he's lost most of his soldiers, and his current army is formed by farmers between him and his daughter. They give Hercules a speech about bringing peace to the country that helps convince him to accept the job. The following day, Hercules and his team begin training. The farmers turn soldiers, starting by testing their shield wall, which doesn't hold. Some hours later, Hercules meets with Codus again, who has information about Rhesus thanks to one of his scouts, Phineas. The tyrant will be attacking the Best Side tribe in Central Thrace within 6 days, and Codis wants to take the chance to march and stop him there before he goes any farther. Hercules disapproves of the idea, pointing out the army needs more time to train, but Codis doesn't listen and tells him to get ready because they'll be marching the next day later in the evening. After helping Atlanta get rid of Cycles on one, Hercules notices Ares sneaking around to see Tydeus sleeping chained to a chariot and almost hurting him. When he comes closer, Hercules takes the kid out of there and explains the tiniest was born in Warren. When he found him, he was more animal than human. He saw something that traumatized him so deeply that he now never speaks at all and relives his trauma every night. But Hercules still considers him his most loyal warrior afterward. He takes the Ares back to Hergenia, who is working at the hospice after they lost so many physicians. She taught herself the art of healing to be able to help. Before leaving, Hercules gifts Ares the Nemean lion's tooth, implying it should have been a gift for his own children. The next day, the army gets ready to march, and Hercules finds Els hidden among the soldiers intending to fight too. He reminds him he's a storyteller and not a warrior before sending him to the chariot with Codus, and together they all leave for BSI. When they make it to the village, however, they discover it is too late. Rhesus had already been there and destroyed it all, and the sea of bodies matches and furious. Something is strange though. While some of the bodies have been clearly rotting for days, There are others on the ground that are still fresh. These bodies are the ones that suddenly wake up and attack them because this has been a trap all along, thinking the best drive is under the control of Rhys's. Hercules calls for a shield wall to form around Cody's while he ended. The tribal leader wants to challenge him directly, so to create an illusion, Eel allows. Can take advantage of with his storytelling. Hercules smoothly breaks the tip of one of Atlanta's arrows, and when the tribe leader comes closer, he stabs him on the forehead with it, making it seem as if he had killed him with just a punch. The army finds this incredibly inspiring and makes them believe the gods are on their side. The real battle begins. Then Hercules' team kills as many tribesmen as possible. But there are too many of them and they soon breach. They come up with a simple plan. Hercules and theorists retrieve their chariots and start driving them in circles around the shield wall. Pushing and killing the tribesmen out of the way, the remaining soldiers use this chance to charge. But the tribesmen recognize a defeat when they see it and run away. Rhys is nowhere in sight, although a strangely shaped figure can be seen watching from afar. Hercules tells Codas that losing half his army is as much his fault as it is Rhys, because he did warn him about the farmers not being ready to write yet, and Codas accepts giving him more time to spend. Meanwhile, General Cycles wants to kill Phineas for having guided them into a trap. But Atanica stops him and announces he'll be in charge of scouts from now on, although he does threaten Phineas and warns him not to make another mistake. Moments later, Princess Jenny arrives with the healers and she's taken to Hercules' private tent so nobody can see he's bleeding like a mere mortal from an injury he got through. After she leaves him to rest, Hercules dreams of an old memory. It shows the bodies of his wife and children, his hands covered with blood, and King your riskiest exiling him out of the country instead of executing him, so he can forever live with the guilt of having killed his family. He wakes up from this nightmare when he hears some children giggling, and when he enters the forest to investigate, he finds his dead family among the bodies of them. Eating them is a three-headed dog, Cerberus, and Hercules gets ready to fight it. But Tidinus appears behind him and brings him back to reality, making him realize he's been imagining things in the morning, and Furious immediately knows what's happened to him because it's not the first time. And he advises Hercules he needs to finish this final labor and confront the beast to find peace. But Hercules thinks he's just going mad while the two men are busy talking by themselves. Princess Jenny approaches the rest of the team to get the truth behind them. They explain to her that nobody knows the truth. They found Hercules one day alone with the bodies of his family surrounding him, but he remembers nothing in each of his adventures. He would find one of the members of his team and show compassion for them, earning their loyalty. He was so good at what he did, nobody could believe he could be mortal, and the team simply decided to play along the stories to help them get jobs. They think that what happened to them was probably the blood rage, a common affliction that clouds the minds of. From that on, Hercules and the team put Cody's army under a very strict training routine. They're given armor and weapons that copy Hercules and taught the arts of the lands. Hercules gets suspicious and follows her, demanding her to share what she knows. She admits Rhys is saying the truth. It was Codas who started this war after he poisoned her husband, the actual king, to take his. However, she didn't play alone because she approves of her father's actions. She did it because Codas threatened to kill her child if she tried to rebel or had tries to convince Hercules to take areas with him when they leave. But Hercules refuses right before they're found by General Cycles, who tells him Codas is looking for him. Hercules goes to confront Codas, calling him out for betraying him, but Codas finds it laughable that mercenaries that will do anything for gold, if suddenly grow. He admits wanting to have his own empire and invites Hercules to lead his army, but since he turns the offer down, he pays him and his team what they agreed on before kicking them out when they reach their chariots. Hercules gives his money to Atelicos because he wants to stay in safe race. He doesn't expect the team to stay with him and allows them all to leave with their reward and have a good life. But Atalanta reminds them they don't follow him because they feel they owe him anything. They follow him because they are a family. The whole team decides to stay and fight, except for Autolycus, who leaves with all the gold after calling them. The party easily sneaks back into the palace, but General Cycles is waiting for them and surrounds them with his soldiers, after making them drop their weapons. He also tells Codas that he's heard Jenny conspiring with Hercules to take areas away from him. Codas takes the kid from Virginia. She is captured by the soldiers, and Ares tries to go to Hercules for help, secretly giving him back the lion's tooth before Codis drags and backed by the hair. Hercules is knocked unconscious while trying to save the child, and he wakes a few hours later, chained to a wall and seeing servers. As his vision slowly clears, he realizes it's actually 3 wolves and they look familiar to him. They belong to King Eurystheus, who is now entering the area together with Kodos, because they've been working together all this time to rule the entirety of Greece together, after seeing all his friends locked in cages around him. Hercules slowly recovers. His memory serverless has always been an illusion of his mind. What he saw that night, 3 years ago, were the wolves who attacked his family after your wrist. He has put a sedative in his drink, so he couldn't do. Your riskiest admits this is true, and he did it because he hadn't liked the way his people had called out Hercules' name louder than his as if he was some sort of god. This could be a threat to his power, and he had to be eliminated. A man with ambition can be bought, but someone like Hercules who wants nothing is too dangerous. Kodos makes his soldiers take her Jenny out of her cage to be executed, and Hercules feels useless for only being able to. However, when Infurious reminds them, they all believe in him, and he should believe in himself. To Hercules remembers who he is and summons all his strength to rip off the chains from the wall and go save Virginia. Kodos and the others rush out of the room and let the wolves take care of him, while Virginia uses the axe she was about to be executed with to open the doors to the cages. The wolves give Hercules quite a fight, biting him and wounding him on various parts of his body. But one by one Hercules manages to overpower them and throw them away, stabbing the last one with a lance. His final labor is finally complete, or Jenny or frees the whole party, and they grab some weapons. The soldiers left behind while Hercules shows his strength again by lifting a metal door that allows them to escape the dungeon as they make their way upstairs. Soldiers keep trying to stop them, but they have no issues fighting back and making their way through when a lance on fire is thrown at them. And Furious once again thinks his time has come, opens his arms to receive his fate. But Hercules grabs it and kills a soldier with it, saving. While the party takes care of the remaining soldiers, Hercules goes after your riskiest. This starts making a bunch of excuses for what happened to Hercules' family, like saying he had been controlled by Kodos. He also tries to order him around as a king and even offers him money. But Hercules doesn't care about any of that. He grabs your riskiest by his neck, throws him on the throne and stamps him with his own dagger, finally getting revenge for his family. Now he can move on and find peace after all this. His thoughts are suddenly interrupted by a whip around his neck. It's Cycles, who throws Hercules on the floor and gets ready to kill him, only for him to end up stabbed instead, when he allows catches by surprise from behind. After finally calling his nephew a warrior, the two of them rejoin the party, which has rescued Recess, and together they leave the palace, freezing as soon as they see Kodos waiting for them with his army. Ares is being held by a soldier as a hostage, and Kodos threatens to kill him if Hercules doesn't. All of a sudden the soldier falls dead because of a knife thrown at him. It's Atelikos who has come back to help. Now, free Ares runs towards his mother as another battle begins, and Titles jumps in to protect him from the incoming arrows. Ares safely joins them, and Titius manages to kill most of the archers, but also is hit with a bunch of arrows, while the others knock over the braziers to create a wall of fire between them and Codis army. Hercules picks up Titius and watches him die, after he says the only word he's ever spoken in his life. Hercules' named Codis army starts charging, after most of the flames have died down, and Hercules sees only one way to stop him, using his extraordinary strength. Once again, he pushes a giant statue of hair off its base, which breaks into hundreds of pieces that proceed to crush many soldiers and push Kodos into them, with Air King dead one by one. The soldiers began kneeling for Hercules and chanting his name, accepting him as their new leader. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.